Welcome back to this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, as we hear from the animal nutrition experts with Purina and learn about the value of a strong nutrition program for your cattle. I want to ask our producers, what does a comprehensive nutrition program mean to your operations? Tony, you want to begin?
Well, in our operation, the primary foundation is having a good mineral out to the cow herd year-round. You've got to meet their mineral needs so they are productive. And then based on the year, the time of year, the life cycle of the animal, depending on where you need to fill in on a protein supplement. You know, in drier times, we will put out rangeland tubs, which are a 25N tub, an all-natural protein, to supplement the cows to boost them up and utilize our hay or dry grass more efficiently. And then moving into the calf life cycle, you know, providing the calf with the nutrition they need. When they're on the cow, we provide a creep feed that has a limiter in it to boost the cow's ability to run more calves on fewer acres. And, you know, then going on into the weaning stage, you know, you have got to provide that calf with a good diet for them to reach their maximum potential of their genetics.
Steve, what would you add?
Well, in our operation, we don't creep feed just due to the size of the pastures. The area is rough, you know, but we try and keep mineral out all the time. Where we're at, cattle don't eat a lot of mineral, so it was kind of a challenge to find one that they would eat. There's a lot of salt in the water and alkali in the ground, so cattle don't eat much, you know. But then, like in the winter, we take cows to corn stalks, and so we feed a protein supplement, whether it's a tub or a block, you know, and then we feed AccuRation in the spring to our cows when we're calving. Just fill the creep feeder, pull it out in the pasture, and let them eat it, you know. And that pretty much, we're feeding a little hay then. The cows will kind of eat what they need, you know, and when the grass greens up, they quit eating it. So they, you know, the cow tells you kind of what she needs, and that's kind of how we do it.
So what role does nutrition play as we think about moving from one life stage to the next? You mentioned that a little bit. Tell us more, Tony.
Well, your cow, typically she is raising a calf, either rebreeding or carrying another calf, so she is always constantly trying to continue on the next generation. So, you know, you have to keep her in optimum condition to either raise the calf, get ready to breed, to raise another calf, and then once she's weaned a calf, you can kind of relax, and like he says, we turn out on corn stalks in the fall of the year, and you know, that's where if they are set up, you can utilize those corn stalks because they're at their optimum level, and that is the time of the year where they don't need much to maintain their body, and you know, you can utilize some of the lesser forages.
So for our Purina experts, how do you work with producers to identify and recommend solutions? Glenn?
Well, Kevin, when we go to a farm and visit with a producer or to a ranch, typically we're either there because there's been a question raised or we've identified that there's something to discuss. So rather than taking a shotgun approach to throwing out some recommendations or some ideas, is we want to try to do some questioning to figure out some specific situations or some specific needs. So say in the case of when I would have called on Tony for the first time and talked to him about their operation, is we were starting to look at some ways to try to get more performance and more efficient growth out of their calves while they were nursing a cow. And so we started talking about some creep feed options. And so we start walking through what do you see, what would you like the outcome to be, and then we start to figure out some methods to help get them to that given endpoint. And the beautiful thing about the Purina All Seasons Cattle Nutrition Program is we have multiple tools essentially in our toolbox that we can bring to the table that are available nationwide for our sales specialists and our dealers to offer to producers like Tony or Steve in order to try to get that need met.
Outstanding. Lance, what would you add?
Well, you know, I think about taking a real consultative approach to understanding what's going on, the problems that might exist on any given operation, and then trying to come with some solutions that fit. And there might be more than one. There could be a couple of solutions, there could be a couple of products within the Purina All Seasons cattle nutrition program that fit. So then it's a matter of understanding the operation and again, the management piece, how can they implement that specific program, and understanding how best to meet the needs of the operation based on what problems and may be existing at the time.
Tony, over break, we were talking about some of the industry challenges we've all experienced the last couple of years. Tell folks how that's impacted your nutritional decisions.
One big thing in the last 5 years is the high grain prices. That has brought a lot of pasture out of grass production and into crop production. So we have lost a lot of acres of pasture, so we have fewer acres to run cows on, and pasture is becoming very hard to get a hold of, and we're having to do more on less acreage. And Purina's helped by their different programs, being able to utilize an acre of ground more efficiently, produce more beef on it. And the high grain prices have required us to try and be more efficient on growing the calves. We need to get more bang for our buck, and the Accuration starter that we use on our creep feed, our calves do amazing from weaning through backgrounding on that, and we're actually getting more gain on less feed.
Wow.
And with the high grain prices, that has really made a difference.
So Glenn, tell us a little bit about Purina's reaction to some of these challenges, specifically this issue of fewer acres of pasture.
Yeah, so one of the great advantages of some of our Accuration programs, which we use within the Purina All Seasons Cattle Nutrition Program, is they're high nutrient density programs that we can utilize either as complete feeds or, fortunately in our area, we utilize as grind and mixed products in many cases to supplement what forages or roughages are available. And then we can do a better job of maximizing performance. So specific to Tony's situation is they've done a good job over a long window of time of AIing cattle and breeding a whole lot of performance into their calves. They like to finish their calves out or partner with other owners in the finishing process with their cattle. So our programs have been helpful in their regard to get more performance, get the calves moving more rapidly down the production chain. Once they're weaned, we can maximize performance in a very efficient package. Yet, Tony mentioned earlier that he and his dad essentially are the labor source. So we've been able to save them some labor at the same time to do some other things in their operation, to not to have to give up head count, acres, other things that they need to do to make a living with. And ultimately, they've delivered high quality calves at a faster rate, at a more economical delivery package to finish their cattle.
And that's what it's all about, especially as we go into a more depressed pricing era here in the cattle business. Steve, you mentioned a weather challenge being drought. Tell folks about how some weather challenges have impacted your nutritional decisions.
Well, like last year, it never rained all summer. We had grass from 2014, none in 15. We used all the 14 grass last year. So we were forced to either sell cows, try and find more grass. There's no grass to lease. So, we went to putting out tubs, feeding AccuCreep, things to try and stretch. We early weaned, put the calves in the lot and fed them, and when you wean a calf off a cow, the cow requirements drop by a third or better. So you can turn a cow out on nothing and she'll maintain, and yeah, it costs to feed the calf, but it's cheaper than feeding the cow and the calf. Right. So, and then we went with the pre-con, and then we switched to we call 80-20 or 70-30 corn Accuration blend, and that seems
worked
to
out pretty good.
Worked good, yeah.
Lance, you face some very challenging weather conditions up in the territory that you cover. Tell folks how you do help producers deal with those weather events.
Well, I think, again, it's about understanding what the cow's needs are at any given time. Steve alluded to a drought condition where, we need to supplement, so we can stretch grass or keep cows on grass longer, early weaning. So when you think about that, the beauty of the Purina All Seasons Cattle Nutrition Program, the flexibility of the products and the programs that are under that umbrella really make it a unique program that we can bring solutions at any given time. You know, the other thing, of course, we deal with in the north is cold stress, and you know, so one thing, you know, we talk about supplementation, we talk about it from a protein standpoint, but at the same time, when we're dealing with cold stress, we're dealing with an energy situation as well. So, you know, we come in, we look at, you know, be it a program for cows using AccuRation blocks or the AccuRation meal or even the AccuRation liquid, you know, to get some additional intake and bring some energy into those diets so that they do meet that cold stress